Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I'm bringing you guys my GOAT format, GOAT control deck profile. This is just my all-time favorite deck to be playing in GOAT format. I like playing around with some of like the sillier kind of decks, sort of like Pac-Man and things like that, but it is still just really fun to play this like really OP kind of deck. Really strong control style, being able to turbo out Thousand Eyes Restrict, and some Chaos monsters, and just some other really powerful big boss monsters and flip effect monsters to help control the game state. So anyways, without any further ado, I think we'll get into this. The other big thing I think I just really like about this deck is just how it keeps the advantage going on your end. So a lot of the times, like if your opponent is playing like a deck that really can grind, like you can usually grind better as long as, unless your opponent is also playing GOAT control. So this deck is just really great, has a really great longevity, and can also close out games fairly quickly. Also, just don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I would really appreciate it for more amazing GOAT deck profiles and stuff like this, and also for the modern format profiles that we always do. But anyways, we are playing the one copy of Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. Doesn't really need any explanation. This is like still a Chaos deck that you're trying to sort of run, not as heavily as Chaos Control, but I am still playing the one copy of Chaos Sorcerer. I think that like if you are playing this many Chaos monsters to try to get out the BLS, there's just still no reason to not play one copy of the Chaos Sorcerer. So I think that it is kind of like unorthodox for people who play GOAT control, but I mean, in all honesty, if you're playing this many level of like light and dark monsters, you might as well just throw in the one Chaos Sorcerer. It's just going to be such a good bomb when it does go off. Then we are playing the two copies of Air Knight Parshath. He is just really good for being able to deal piercing damage to your opponent and helping you to draw a card anytime that he inflicts damage. It does seem like a little bit of overkill maybe to play two of him, but it is just so good when you are playing against like any deck that just sets a bunch of monsters and you can actually get out double Air Knight Parshath. It is just like so cruel because like you just end up drawing so many cards. It's so good. Then we're going to go to the two copies of Magician of Faith. This is one of the pivotal cards of the deck because we are playing just so many spell cards in my version of GOAT control. So just being able to get out Magician of Faith and being able to flip her, multiple times is really strong. So we are playing like Tsukiyomi and Book of Moon to help facilitate that. And then our next flip effect monster is going to be Magical Merchant. He's sort of like your next best guy. He's really great for helping set up the graveyard. So just, again, being able to get into him, setting up those chaos attributes into the graveyard is just so good. And then just being able to also pick up whatever spell card you want. It is just so good also, like with him, when you're able to like mill a like Sinister Serpent to the graveyard and then like you pick up something really powerful like Graceful Charity or something like that. It just seems so free. Then we're going to get on into two copies of Night Assailant. This is probably one of my biggest changes to the deck because I don't think that a lot of people play this. I think, if anything, it's more like 50-50. But we are playing just a good number of flip effect monsters. So with Night Assailant, if this card does get discarded to the graveyard, you're able to add back a flip effect monster to the graveyard. And if you're able to get both of these guys like in like synchronization, then you're just able to like, refuel your hand every single time. So you pitch Night Assailant and get the other Night Assailant back. It's really cool. Or you just get back that Magician of Faith. It's just super nice. Or it's just general good stuff, like monster destruction. Then we are playing the Tsukiyomi just to help reset our flip effect monsters. So that is all the flip effect monsters. I kept trying to go back and forth between putting in Cyber Jar and Morphing Jar. Morphing Jar to help like pitch the Night Assailant and other stuff. And then like Cyber Jar just for a board clear. But I figured Night Assailant was okay enough just to pick off like singular monsters at a time. And then just to help with the hand advantage like I mentioned before. So Tsukiyomi just to help keep resetting these guys so you can keep getting the most advantage is really good. One copy of Asura Priest to help, just destroy all GOAT tokens or just big boards that you're messing with. One copy of Tribe Infecting Virus. This is the one spot I think you could actually get rid of this card to put in Cyber Jar. Then you like would still have like that mass board break and stuff, but I just wasn't too sure about it. Tribe Infecting Virus is just nice in here to be able to get in that 1600 damage and to be able to do like a board clear, so I just sort of like having Tribe Infecting Virus in the deck. Otherwise, we just don't have a lot of other avenues to like deal a lot of damage. We then have our Breaker and then also our DD Warrior Lady just for nice spot removal. One copy of Sangan and then our one copy of Sinister Serpent as well to round off all of our monsters. This is a tight 40 card deck. I kept trying to really make it, you know, as streamlined as I could just to make sure that we can get out all of our win cons with like our Magician of Faith and like stuff like that. So then we're going to get on into probably one of the most controversial parts of the deck, which is 3 copies of Metamorphosis. In testing, I just kept not finding Metamorphosis a lot of duels, and I just always want to see this card, at least 1 copy. So playing 3 copies of it just felt right to me, so I am playing 3. This is why I am playing such a high level 1 count with like Magician of Faiths, with the Magical Merchants, and then the Sinister Serpents, just trying to play as many level 1s, and then also to complement with our 2 copies of Scapegoat, just so we can always get into Thousand Eyes Restrict or any other fusion plays that we need to. Then we're getting on into our 2 copies of Book of Moon. Like I mentioned, this is just in here like Tsukiyomi, just to help keep resetting our flip effect monsters, or to be able to flip our opponent's really strong monsters face down. Then we're going to go on into 2 copies of Nobleman of Crossout, just good generic spot removal. 1 copy of Pot of Greed, 1 Graceful Charity, and 1 Delinquent Duo for our Trinity. Then we have the Mystical Space Typhoon and Heavy Storm for more back row removal, and then 1 Snatch Steal, 1 Premature Burial, and 1 Swords of Revealing Light. I ended up taking out like stuff like Sakuretsu Armor in space for Swords of Revealing Light. It's another sort of interesting thing that I've sort of done with the deck, but in my opinion, it's really nice to be able to have swords to be able to protect like your Magician of Faith. And then if you get Magician of Faith, swords, and like Tsukiyomi, then you can just kind of keep resetting, get Pot of Greed or like Delinquent Duo back to your hand, and then keep the hand advantage like the way that you want it. And then also, like, then after Swords hits the graveyard, if you're able to still have Magician of Faith on the field, you're able to, like, reset it, recycle it. So, like, being able to use Swords rather than Sakuretsu Armor is kind of cool. And then if you have, like, Swords as well as your Night Assailant, like, Night Assailant will eventually kind of do the same thing that Sakuretsu could do, which is to destroy a monster that's attacking. So, like, you can just, instead of relying on your opponent to attack, you can just Night Assailant and pop that card, which is kind of cool. So overall, I really like having Swords in here. It's been doing me really, really well in testing. Then we have a Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, Ring of Destruction, Dust Tornado, and then lastly is the Call of the Haunted to round off this 40 card deck. We'll now move on into the extra deck, which is still just fairly standard for GOAT format. So we are playing the 3 copies of Thousand Eyes Restrict. So this is if you're going with like the 15 card extra deck. I know that some people just play GOAT format with like as many fusions as you want. So the 3000 Eyes, the 1 copy of Dragoness for our level 3. Then we have our level 4. 1 copy of Fiend Skull Dragon, just really, really solid card just to be able to stop traps and flip effect monsters, I believe it is. Negate the effect of flip effect monsters, and then also negate any trap effects that target this card, so like no compulse and stuff like that, which is really cool. 1 Reaper on the Nightmare, 2 copies of Dark Balter. You could switch in another card if you want to, like another like level 4 or something, but overall Dark Balter is just so good. Then we have our Dark Blade, the Dragon Knight, 1 copy of Ryu Senshi, a Ojama King for another level 6, and then a King Dragon, the Last Warrior from Another Planet, and then lastly 1 copy of Gatling Dragon. And then just a few couple quick tips over on the side deck. It's sort of, you can play however you want to. Side decking is still fairly important in GOAT format, but I feel like it's not as big of a deal as it is like in current format. We have our 1 copy of Jinzo. This is the only monster that I play in my side deck. I just couldn't really think of anything else to put in, but if our opponent's playing a trap-heavy deck, we definitely want to put that in. Giant True Nade in case we need more spell and trap removal. Our last copy of Book of Moon in case we feel like we need it. 2 copies of Compulsory Evacuation Device in case our opponent has any monsters that we just really need to get off the board. Maybe if they have something like Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys or something that we don't want to destroy by card effect, that we just want to bounce. Our last 2 copies of Dust Tornado in case we want to play the 3rd and 4th. Then we have 2 copies of Solemn Judgment just in case there's any big boss monsters or big heavy blowout spell and traps that we want to negate. 3 copies of Light of Intervention in case our opponent is playing a deck that centralizes on flip effect monsters more than us. Light of Intervention can be pretty good. And then lastly, 3 Trap Dust Shoot for if we're going first. Pretty standard. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for my GOAT Control deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think that this one is just so fun to play around with. Just a lot of really cool cards, a lot of really neat interactions. Just being able to bring back like Delinquent Duo, Pot of Greed back with Magician of Faith, like I said. And then like once you really get cooking, then you can go into like Thousand Eyes Restrict and just start peeling away at your opponent's monsters. It's just so crazy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Hopefully you guys like this one. Definitely check out the Patreon if you guys are interested at all for all the really cool rewards. And we will see you guys for the next video. Peace.